Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bats. See the broken, eat a bad apple with a bad attitude, hanger with a bad, at a bad tape, bad law, bad do, bad breath, bad it's bad vibes. We are live in the Magic City Studios in the Barolo Palatial, right across the river and through the woods from where Granny's coming over today. She got the fire blazing. She's ready to rock the Steeler-Bill game as long as she's got a fat eighth of the A1 Yola hybrid in New York City. The Big Apple. Ooh. People dress in plastic bags to ready to travel in some kind of fucking shade up to do. Party up. Rats on the west side, bedbugs uptown, but a mess is tossed and tattered, my brain splatter all over Manhattan. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Yes, I do, but I like I should do that. Yeah. Oh, woo, woo. I think I might have caught something from Keith. Should do that. Yeah. Hey, what's gigging? I'm Ferrall, along with your boy Carver High this afternoon. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, running it along with Luke, I am Ohana, and our boy Johnny Del Frisco's Grill, Weehawken style, in on an afternoon grind. Can you even believe it? On a misery Monday, the birthday roll call. Fred Davis, 38, Armando Shalgura, I'm just kidding, Galarraga, 42, Matt Holliday, 44, Drew Brees, 45, Corey Chavis, 48. Ray King, 50. Mike Minner's birthday as well, 50. LaShawn Johnson, 53. Leonard Wheeler, 55. Double nickels with Delino DeShields and Adam Burt. B-Hop, 59. My boy Bernard Hopkins. He's still picking fights with people, by the way. Getting in, like, fights at boxing events. He's picking fights with people. Randy White, 71. I always hated him because he was a cowboy. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. We welcome our radio affiliates to Coast, on a wild card Monday. Sirius XM channel 159, our satellite partners all over the Southern Hemisphere. What's up on that 159 push, biatch? And, of course, Sports Byline and their radio affiliates out of San Francisco, Deepak holding it down for us. Tons of live NBA and NHL action today. It is all evolving on Martin Luther King Day. Hope everyone's having an awesome holiday. Let's start with this. Penguins 2-0, early third on the Kraken, who've won 9 in a row. Bruins lead the Devils 1-0. It's a final. Ducks down 4-3 to the Panthers with 17 left. Canucks lead in Columbus 3-2 with 18 left. Sabres beat the Sharks 3-0. Rockets down big in Philadelphia, 98-77 going to the fourth. Mavs up 19-7 early on the Pels. Magic Knicks getting set to go at the world's most famous everything else is later. The Packers slaughtered the Cowboys 48-32. Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson still trying to sell the Cowboys comeback a day later. The worst broadcast in television history with those two. And I love Kevin, but I haven't seen him in 15 years, so screw him too. Honestly, that was the worst call of a game I've ever seen in my life. Down 40, and you're still telling me they're trying to salt the game away? Be careful. Things happen fast in this league, is what Olsen said. I'm gonna play all of their quotes on this show today and embarrass them until I'm finished making fun of them. I'm not even kidding you. I couldn't even fathom it. Did you see me tweeting last night, Carver High? I tweeted so many good ones. I was knocking 50,000 hit tweets out one after the next, making fun of those two, trying to keep viewers on Fox. Here's a tip for you. People turn the channel. They don't care what you say to them. If the game sucks, the game sucks. I got fired as an NHL play-by-play guy. We were down 7-2 in the game. What did I say, Carver High? We're taking it in the and that was the end of me. And the guy said, how could you say that about our team? I go, you haven't won in a month and a half. He goes, "You're drunk." I go, "I gotta be drunk to watch you play. By the way, I think you're a P too." And so's my co-host. I said the color guy was, I called him a P too. I said, "I'll beat his ass." Those two sucking off the Cowboys on national television for 4 hours was the most humiliating thing I've ever seen in my life. And they're the top two guys at the network. I mean, take a clue. If you can't see what happened during that game yesterday, you're an idiot too. Darnell Savage, we got him with a pick six. Hizzy, it was 27-0, and Kevin was still saying that Cowboys had a chance. All they need is a big start in the second half. The game was over at 27-0, 48-16. He said they're trying to salt it away. I have never. He should go back to doing Mets reports from the stands. Jerry Jones was upset. Here's a tip for everybody at ESPN that spent 16 hours today asking every analyst in the world if Mike McCarthy's going to get fired. They fired him last night at halftime of that game. Okay, they just haven't told you yet. Okay, he's as good as fired last night at halftime. Dak wants him to stay. He'll be lucky if he stays. The Lions beat the Rams in a great game, 24-23. We got all of that for you. How about Saturday? Unbelievable. The Chiefs beat the Dolphins 26-7. Nice calls that Patrick Mahomes gets, huh? Touch him and you got roughing the passer. Touch him. All you got to do is touch him and he gets a roughing flag. Did you see the hit on Stafford yesterday where he got stepped on his face and his shoulder and targeted with a helmet shot to the head? No flag. You do that in Kansas City, he'll have 7 flags and like 90 yards of free plays. And that fat coach of theirs, too. How long do we have to hear about the snots on his mustache during the broadcast? Or how many times do we have to listen to Tirico tell me about Taylor Swift? Honest to God. I am great, aren't I, to start the show? I mean, honestly, you got to think just for a second. Even Carver High's like, "Get me a Bud Light." He's on a tear today. We got it all for you. Davis Maddock will join us. He's got a bunch of picks for tonight's games. Adam Caplan joining us. He's completely on the take for the Eagles, like I am the Steelers, and like Carver High is for the Bills. You're not going to believe the show that we're doing today. We're going to break down everything, the Steelers-Bills game, the Philly-Bucks game, you name it. We're going to talk about everything. We got all your Buffalo Steeler highlights going into this thing. We got Tomlin going to discuss coaching with his family after the season. Here we go again. I need to sit down with my family. I need to spend more time with my family. I need to spend less time with my family when they interfere with my hockey and football viewing and gambling problem. We got Carver High's Tutty picks. We got all that. Tonight's NBA plays. Tonight's NHL plays. College rag plays. At 4:25 Eastern, another communist is going to join us. That Morency, that homerized milquetoast Bills Mafia fan, teaming up with Carver High. Those two fascists, the Malachi Crunch. I got something for him today. Something for him at Get High Mark Stadium. We got a little Steelers Bills. Everybody doing it on Coast to Coast.
Your team name sucks. Your uniform sucks. Get in there. Be better. Suck. Buffalo Bandits.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
My goodness, if the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we haven't been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
And the New York Knicks has one of the easiest schedules the rest of the way. If you look at a site like Tankathon, the Knicks have right now the 20th easiest schedule the rest of the way. Folks, they're 2.5 games behind Philadelphia. Philadelphia's starting to slip a little bit. I don't think the Knicks get the 3, but they should be a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
You have sat down with Nick Saban for a lengthy interview. You have spoken to Nick Saban multiple times throughout his career. How surprised were you?
I mean, he's not going anywhere, I don't believe. And at the end of the day, very surprised. Athletic department surprised. Talked to a few people, Alabama folks, late last night, early this morning. Very surprised. Didn't see it coming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The Early Line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they do.
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was good
Late
betting.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on. There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Time to turn talk into action. Step 1, fire up your BetMGM Sportsbook. Step 2, make your pick. And step 3, showtime. Now that hunch has some weight to it. Every play, every game means something more. Because now, you're betting with the king of sportsbooks.
Get the SportsGrid app. It's free on iOS or Play Store for Android. You can watch the network, listen to the network. It's got stats, odds, in-game odds, stories, highlights, videos. Follow your favorite hosts. It's free. You're going to love it. The SportsGrid app. I've turned, I think, close to, I'm guessing, 100,000 people onto it. Like, just people I don't even know. Like at the store, people think I'm creeping on them. Have you ever seen the videos on like Instagram of the guy that farts on people in the store and looks at him while he's doing it? And everybody's like so offended. I do the same thing with people I don't know. It's just I creep up on them and show them the SportsGrid app. And then I fart. Are we on the air? Jax, no, don't talk about your gas. Okay. They want me to focus on the show at this point, and the red phone is not lit up yet, but it did today earlier. I got a call earlier today for some of my behavior. I got to tell you, it's a true story. Fired doing NHL play-by-play because I said the Thrashers were taking it in the dumpster, and I said it on air, ass. And they fired me. You know what I said? Good, because I will never change. Watching your crappy hockey team, I'm going to tell it like it is. And millions of fans in Atlanta loved me. They loved me more than the hockey team. In fact, I was the most popular player on the hockey team, and I was the play-by-play guy. It was so embarrassing. 9 years later, they were broke and in Winnipeg. Who's laughing now? All right, so I will never listen to some guy. I got to prove it. I can't do the show normal today, Mike. I just can't do it. I got to prove it.
That's okay.
Here it is.
I don't
Here
mind that. It's not a normal day. It's not. We're
Here
not
it is.
doing a normal show.
It is not
so that's
normal.
fine.
No script. 34-16 with 3 minutes left in the third, and Kevin Burkhardt said, and Kevin, I worked at a MSNY, but the statute of limitations is up. I asked Carver High before the show, I go, is it okay for me to make fun of this guy? Because I haven't seen him in 15 years. And now he's making big money and he's on network TV. And he's the guy that, I told you about the other one, Schrager. He's another one. I made him. And then the guy never talks to me again once he gets on NFL Network. Well, I only worked there for 15 years too. But he won't talk to me. Burghardt won't talk to me. So I don't care who my friends are. I had a heart explosion. I almost died. So here's the deal. This clown yesterday, and you can quote me, 34-16. The game was 34-16 with 3 minutes left in the third, and he said, quote, still plenty of time left in this one, Greg, end quote. I was sitting there watching the game, and I went, what I started tweeting out his bad comments. Here you go. I got another one. Still plenty of time left. Up. Then it gets worse. It really did get worse. How about this one? 41-16, and LaFleur's throwing challenge flags. They're up 41-16, and the guy throws a challenge flag, but question a call. And then I wrote, now it's 48-16. They scored again. He said, quote, they've made it interesting, end quote. And I was like, that's the end of your career. It is the end of your career. And then how about this? They're down 48-16. Or 48. Let me get this right. I got to get it right. 48-24. 48-24. Here comes Olsen. Quote, Olsen, quote, got to be careful. It happens fast in this league. End quote. And then I think that pretty much does it. Like, those are the most embarrassing. This is one that I put out. It got over 30,000 hits in an hour. I wrote, ESPN really needs to spend more time talking about the Cowboys and Lakers. They spent all day today, and I can't even watch it. I just got it on in the background. They literally spent all day talking about the Dallas Cowboys and what to do, what will happen. Oh, my God, do you think? They asked every guy. They actually had Schefter and that terrible Orlovsky quarterback. He's good on TV, I guess. But he's the worst quarterback that ever played the game in the history of football since leather helmets. Those two lovers were in a hotel room together in Tampa, and they asked him if they thought that Mike McCarthy was going to get fired. They asked every single analyst, even the guys like Foxworthy went to like Harvard, didn't he? He's like one of the smartest guys in the world. Even he doesn't have the stones to say that Mike McCarthy. I mean, they cut his head off last night, and he didn't even get out of the locker room before they beheaded him. Don't even tell me that guy's not fired. I'm not going to sit on. Can you imagine me on this network on SportsGrid not having the stones to say that guy's getting fired? He was fired last night. Here's another one. I told you 2 months ago Belichick and Carroll were getting fired, and that happened too. The only one I got wrong was Saban. I never saw that coming. But they've all put Bill Belichick in his place. He's taken the job in Dallas. I mean, it has been, to me, honestly, Mike, you tell me, this has been the worst 20 hours of television I've ever seen in my life. And that includes everyone, Fox, ESPN, and it don't include us.
Doesn't include us.
Tape. Send it to ESPN. Send it to Fox. Send it to Burkhardt. Send it to Schefter. I'm friends with Schefter's brother. He loves ripping bong hits. Little Adam drinks tea in the morning with Adam Caplan, green teas in that crowd. I'm over here with Carver High drinking Scotch whiskey.
Well, I'll agree. I'll say this. You're right. They did a bad job yesterday. That was tough. That second half. I get the idea. You don't want people to leave. It's 48-16, whatever the hell the score was. You don't want people to leave, but
you got to be funny.
It was over the top.
You gotta be funny and entertaining when it's over. The game's over.
They were doing mathematical equations about how many possessions they have left, and if it was possible. And I felt like I was back in algebra. Like let's just like that.
He goes, you gotta hurry up. Hurry up.
You want to know what they could have did in that second half instead of doing all of that? Pump up the Packers a little bit for kicking their ass with
never talked about the Packers once. They never talked about the Packers once.
How about pumping those guys up for what they did in that game? What a performance by
How about
them,
this?
Scotty.
How about this?
Kidding me?
You and I are doing a game, and I would have, I would have done it. I would have gone, Mike, can you pass the KY, please? right in the middle of it, I would have said, can you just pass me that KY liquid, please?
I guess now's a good time to remind everyone that we're on until 8 o'clock East. We'll be here through the entire
How about this one, Mike? How about this one? How about this one? Mike, you want it medium well or rare? We start cooking in the broadcast booth. Anything. Do you want a double or just a single scotch? 2 fingers or one?
Yep.
I mean,
2.
When you're down 40, I mean, you got to start being entertaining and funny. And those two, and here's the deal. Now you know why they gave Tom Brady $300 million to go on Fox. And then Greg's going to be doing the 2 or 3 game. The second or third choice of the week. And I love him at the U. I love Kevin and all that. But I am not nice when I watch a game where the broadcaster sucks so bad. I'll tell you what. Al Michaels dead in a casket and rotting with worms on his face would call a game better. In the casket, dead with worms going through his nose in the ground, 6 feet under. I would have called a game better with a giant tube shoved down my throat in ICU after my heart exploded and 70 lines hooked up to machines to keep me alive while my wife is banging my surgeon. I still would have called the game better. You heard me. Quote me on that, too. Send that one upstairs. I'm right.
All right.
Jack B. Nimble's over there right now. He's chewing his fingernails and drinking beer and spilling it all over himself.
Today's a little bit different than other days. You got to do the Lion's Share next with Davis Matty. You got Caplan after that because we're getting ready. 4:25 East. Morency joins us. Bills Steelers. They cleared the snow off the field in Orchard Park. The sun is shining. Let's have a football game.
Caplan knobbing on Eagles. Here we go.
Good. If the Bucks come out strong and certainly make a point to say, look, even though we have been playing our best basketball, we're here to beat you down. And that's a big-time win for the Milwaukee Bucks.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'll say 12 or more years of suffering. Take a look. Go look at it yourself. After Bear Bryant, all they did was lose.
Ferrall coast to coast, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
This is one of the hardest jobs in all of football. You are replacing Bear Bryant. You are replacing Nick Saban. You are replacing guys who won national championships, and they still wanted him out. They still wanted him gone.
Mike Shula, you're replacing him?
Was a disaster. Dubos was a disaster.
Gene Stallings.
That's what I mean. They ran him out. He won a national championship, and they ran Gene Stallings out.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. There's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Good move by the Clippers, and obviously, folks, they have Tyronn Lue, who I think is one of the best coaches in the league. And I'll say this right now, folks, the way they're playing, I know Minnesota's in first. I know Oklahoma City's been great. I know Denver's been fantastic. But the team I'm thinking right now that could actually come out of the West, if they stay healthy, and he keeps playing like that, it's Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Fantasy sports today.
They were saying there's no way he could not possibly do this. He won't hold out.
Pro League Soccer powered by Marca.
Scoring teams in the league. They have 80 goals so far.
College football today.
The Hawks team total in the first half is 0.5.
Pro Football Today.
Interesting props in this game, but I would be cautious laying this number here with the Houston Texans.
In-game live all access.
The NFC in terms of these wild cards and in terms of the playoff picture.
In-game live, prime time.
Rich, I don't know, man. This has just been one of those games that doesn't make a lick of sense here.
In-game live, overtime.
You want to give the over 3-1 on a pretty good team. It's hard not to take some flyers.
Football full circle.
Well, NFL officials stink. They always will stink, and they'll always ruin the game. Yeah, that's just part of what it is.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
All right, so we got so much going on. You got to know about the big game 58. Bet $5, get 158 instantaneously. It's unbelievable. Use the bonus code SG158. Place your first wager on your new BetMGM Sportsbook app through the app, the mobile app, for at least $5. You're going to get 158 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of the wager's outcome. Download the app on iOS or Android. Visit BetMGM.com. Sign up, deposit $5 into your new account. Place a wager of at least $5 at standard odds. Once you place the bet, you're going to get $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. You know what I like about BetMGM? They saw their competitor do one, and so they immediately, like 10 minutes later, came out with their own, giving people more money. You know what I mean? Like, these guys over here are like, we're going to give away this much. And then BetMGM goes, oh, yeah, watch this. We're going to give them more. You know why? It's because they got that gold lion. That thing's worth billions, that thing. So they just go, it's like Mahomes' helmet. They chipped a piece off of his helmet. They go out there and chip a piece of the gold off. They sell it at the stock market. And they get they get like billions, and then they just start giving it to people like you and me. Just giving people money, $158 all over the place. Davis Lee Rodmatic joins us every day on Coast to Coast. He also does fantasy sports today with the main man, Scoop Mish, on Saturdays from 7 to 9 a.m. Recently, he started wearing blazers out with his long hair, and he's noticed that his wife's very jealous of him because when he just goes down to the store to pick up some soup, he ends up coming out of the store with like 5 chicks all over him. And she saw him and got livid, and then she threw a can of soup at his head, and the whole thing started in the parking lot. He slipped on some ice, tore his suit. They haven't spoken in 2 days. It's unbelievable.
But we're here.
But we're here, and we still have a gambling problem. What did you think of the, the games Saturday, Sunday? Let's start with Saturday. What did you think of Stroud and the Texans having sex with the Browns and their greatest defense in the NFL?
Well, I mean, I thought that Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator for the Texans, did a really good job learning from his experience in that game against the Indianapolis Colts. They did not go run, pass one time in the first half of that game. I don't think they went run, pass until they were already up by 15 points in that game. So Bobby Slowick said, I got CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, you're the man. Let's chuck the ball deep. The Browns, I mean, look, it was an absolute fairy tale run. We know that in the NFL, great offense is going to beat a great defense 10 out of 10 times. Just look at every team that wins the Super Bowl, every team that is favored in these games. It's always the better offensive team that ends up winning these really high leverage spots. So the Browns, they have this great historic defense. Wasn't enough, not going to be enough for the Ravens. The Ravens defense may be even better than the Browns, but if Lamar and the boys on offense don't do their job, they're not going to be winning anything as the months continue to get colder either. But really, just impressed with CJ Stroud. I mean, he's the man.
So we were talking about the Chiefs a little bit earlier. I was anyway, with all the calls they get. I mean, to tell you, the Wilkins love tap shove of Mahomes was my favorite call of the night when they gave him a roughing the passer on that one. I'll give you the earlier one, the shot to his knees. I'll give you that one, but there's no way that Wilkins was a roughing the passer. And then all you have to do to see that it's not is watching what happened to Stafford last night in Detroit when they not only targeted his head, but then knocked him on his ass and then stepped on his face and stepped on his shoulder and injured him, and no flag. You're either Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift, or you get no calls in the NFL. If you're the Chiefs, you get every single effing call on the field all night long, and they gift wrap you wins so you can just keep playing. The whole night, all I said was, they're going to give this to Mahomes so that he can play Josh Allen next week. The Steelers have no chance today against Josh Allen because the NFL and their corrupt refs have it all figured out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the deal. You are either the Kansas City Chiefs or you're not. And if you are not a Kansas City Chief or you're not a Kansas City Chief fan, it's always going to be, oh, Mahomes, he whines to the ref. They're always whining. They're always complaining. And you're right. Mahomes does get a lot of calls because Mahomes is the best and most important player in the league. Brady got all those calls. Manning got all those calls. You know who doesn't get those calls? Justin Fields. Justin Fields did not get one roughing the passer penalty called on him once the entire year. It's not fair. You can actually see it, by the way, when Mahomes scrambles. There was that scramble in the third quarter where he got them down to the 3-yard line. You could see a Miami Dolphins defender put his arms out and then actually just moved his arms out of the way because he was afraid. He was afraid to tackle Mahomes too hard because he didn't want to get a roughing penalty. Yeah, and it's a weapon. It's an advantage the Kansas City Chiefs definitely have it. The best teams in the league always get the whistle. That's just the name of the game. We know the refereeing in the NFL, it's not very good, right? I mean, the NFL, the standard of the officiating in the NFL, Scotty, is awful. It's terrible. Even if you are, so for example, being biased towards the Chiefs, which I think the refs probably are slightly, there were 2 blatant pass interference penalties that everyone watching at home and in the stadium saw that didn't get whistled, not because of some vast conspiracy. The referees are just bad. They're just pretty bad at their jobs, relatively speaking.
Look, I think the Chiefs kicked the Dolphins' ass, and I don't think that they won the game because of the refs. I just know the refs give them every call. It is truly unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And then, because on the Wilkins one, Houston got held so bad coming around the right end. On national television, the whole world saw the guy get tackled. No call there, but they call a shove, a roughing the passer, because Mahomes gets up with his whole, Golden Globes Oscar acting job like he had his arms cut off, and he gets the call every time. It's embarrassing. I thought the Rams-Lions game was great, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I mean, we had basically 2 teams leaving it all out there on the line, but you know what? Sean McVay, he just refuses to be aggressive, right? And that will be the thing that is going to continue to cost him. You cannot, I don't care if it's 4th and 13, I don't care if it's 4th and 97. You're not punting the ball back away with 4 minutes left on the clock. McCarthy did the same thing, by the way, in the Cowboys game. Dak took a terrible sack on 3rd down. They were on the 42-yard line. It was 4th and 13, and they punted it away. I mean, it's just, what do these coaches think they are hoping to accomplish there? Like the teams that do well every single year, the teams that win, they are always the aggressive team. When is the last time one of these conservative teams just like punted and kicked their way to a Super Bowl tie? It just does not happen.
Do you think that the Packers can emulate that performance in Santa Clara getting a 10 spot?
No, I don't think so at all. Although I think probably relative to expectation, Jordan Love was the most impressive player in the NFL this year. I think that the Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. I think we got to give him some real accolades. Like, they're going to lose that game, but Jordan Love, I mean, he's like one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the NFL already, I think.
All right, let's look at your picks for today. It's all evolving rapidly. The Steelers and Bills at Highmark in the Below in Orchard Park, getting set for 4:30. Let's start with your Josh Allen play.
Yep, Josh Allen, big games, always likes to run a little bit more. This is like one thing sportsbooks don't adjust for that well in the playoffs, is that quarterbacks across the board run more. So we're taking over 8.5 rushing attempts for Josh Allen. Also, just the fact that the weather is going to be so brutal. We got 40-mile-an-hour gusts. We got snow. It's cold. I just think both teams will probably keep it on the ground a good bit more. So over 8.5 rushing attempts for Josh Allen.
And then the night game, Philly at Raymond James against the Bucks. It looks here like, you might be on the Eagles.
Yeah, we are taking the Eagles -2.5. Look, I know the Eagles stink. They have the 5th worst point differential in the NFL over the last month. They lose to the Cardinals. They lose to the Giants. A.J. Brown is not playing. Matt Patricia is calling plays on. Look, I get it. And what I would say is I don't really see much evidence that the Buccaneers are even better than this like awful version of the Eagles team. But obviously, anytime you're going into one of these games, like the Eagles, we have already seen them be a Super Bowl caliber team, right? I mean, we've seen them go toe-to-toe with teams that are there. Like, really, it was that San Francisco 49ers loss that sent them topsy-turvy and sent their season going the wrong way. But I think the Eagles get it done here. And I think it's not going to be comprehensive. You know, it's going to be kind of like the Chiefs win, where it wasn't the Chiefs of old. They weren't scoring 90-yard touchdowns and scoring 40, but you saw enough of the glimpse of who they could be that you feel better about the performance moving forward.
And then you got Hurts scoring, and what do you got for Quez Watkins? You got Hurts on an anytime tutty at what price?
Yeah, Hurts anytime -140. I mean, if you think the Eagles win like I do, you're probably betting this one up to like -170. It just feels like when they win, he is scoring those tush-push touchdowns. And we've got Quez Watkins over 15.5 receiving yards. I think he fills in the A.J. Brown position. Obviously, he's not as good as A.J. Brown, but I think he should see 5-6 targets tonight and should get over 15.5 receiving yards.
All right, real quick, I got 10 seconds. So you're not picking a side in the Pittsburgh Buffalo, just the Allen rushing. Who wins the game?
Bills win, but I think the cover is going to be pretty close because I think it's going to be low scoring. I would take the under if I needed to.
All right, it's Davis Lee Roth, Maddock. We'll see you again tomorrow, buddy. Enjoy the games today and tonight.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco -120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Adam Caplan is our NFL insider. He's another one, this guy. How about this guy? So his Eagles are playing tonight in Tampa and you know, for the world. And then what does he want to talk about? He wants to talk about the Cowboys with me. That's what he said. He said, let's talk about the Cowboys. Like everybody else in this business, let's lead and talk about the Cowboys all day. And let me tell you something. Before you get started, they already fired Mike McCarthy. That happened last night when they beheaded him. Just like in Daredevil, when the guy, Wilson Fisk, takes the guy's head to the Cadillac car door and chops his head off with the car door. That's what they did to him last night with the team jet, Jerry Jones jet. They took the door and chopped his head off. He's fired. I cannot believe I had to watch people all day that do television for a living ramble and yak that, you know, just never just saying it. He's so fired. His whole house is on fire.
First of all,
if that guy's the coach next year, I will walk out of here. You'll never see me again.
Well, remember how many years everyone was saying Jason Garrett would be canned and he wasn't? Now, Jason Garrett obviously knew Jerry Jones because he played for him when he was Troy Aikman's backup. But
please,
How'd
that go?
Not well enough. That's why Mike McCarthy became the head coach. But with McCarthy, he signed a 5-year deal in 2020, 1-3 in the playoffs. This embarrassing loss for Ferrall. They never led. They were down by more than 30 in the third quarter. Forget what the final score was and what the yardage looked like. Dak Prescott putting the ball up 60 times. This is an absolute embarrassment. Both sides of the football, not just offense struggling, defense struggling. They didn't do anything right in that game. It's really, quite frankly, hard to believe. At home, where they had not lost Ferrall in the regular season since week 1 of the 22 season, when Tom Brady and the Bucs came in there and beat them.
That's not true. No, that's not true. They lost to the Lions a couple of weeks ago in the game that the NFL fixed and gave the Cowboys the win. The end of the game when the Lions had a 2-point conversion and Decker checked in and caught the ball in the end zone. When the Lions beat them and they wiped that win out and gave it to the Cowboys, they lost, and then they lost again. And then how many times now have they lost in the last 30 years? All they do is lose.
It's really incredible. Think about it, Ferrall. They have not been back to the championship game since 1995. And you can include
what
this
a
season.
Shame.
So, with Mike McCarthy, the bottom line is his team underachieved. By the way, they've got some big contractual challenges coming up here. They got to extend Mike Parsons' contract. And you really have to wonder what in the world happened to this team and this coaching staff, which was given a lot of license here, a lot of confidence by Jerry Jones that they could get it done, and they didn't. Boy, Dak Prescott struggled. This is almost hard to believe at home. They could fall flat. And this is the kind of game that gets coaches fired. It is what it is. McCarthy signed that 5-year deal in 2020, 1-3 in the playoffs as Cowboys head coach. And obviously, as you know, it did not end well for him with the Packers. And that's where we are right now. We're waiting for Jerry Jones to make a decision, one that many people believe around the league, with someone else being a head coach. And by the way, Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones know each other from their time at the NFL meetings over the years. Keep an eye on Belichick here. See, there's the reason why there's rumors out for all to clear stuff up. It's just because Jerry, at 81 years old, it's hard to imagine he would bring in a young head coach who needs grooming that maybe it'll take them 3, 4, 5 years to get to a Super Bowl. They want to get back there now. and to do that, and Bill Belichick has a chip on his shoulder after what happened in New England, that's why that would make some sense.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, but them getting back to a Super Bowl now is one of the most ridiculous things I think I've ever heard in my life. They win a game in the postseason for 30 years, and you want to talk to me about winning Super Bowls? You know what that is? That's that America's Team bullshit. That's that millions of fans and the long reach of the Cowboys fandom all over the globe and their 100,000 fans that poured out of that stadium like it was on fire yesterday as they were booing them for 4 quarters, winning a Super Bowl. My ass. Okay, how does that sound? Here's another one for you. Micah Parsons, best player in the NFL. Great game he had with his 1 tackle. You talk about quitters. You know what he was doing? He quit so early in that game, he actually did his 5 podcasts for the week on the sideline because he never played football. And let me tell you something else. The year and I'm going to throw this out there, the year that Aaron Donald won the Defensive Player of the Year over Watt beat him in every stat category in the NFL defensively, got screwed over because Aaron Donald's a popularity contest. Watt should have won it 4 years in a row, just like he won 3 sack king. He's the sack king in the NFL, back to back. And then they skipped a year, and then he won it again this year. And he did more injured than Micah Parsons. Oh my God, the way they talk about this guy like he's the greatest player on earth. Do not argue with me. He quit yesterday. He had 1 tackle. He played like a little girl all day long. And he had that pouty little quitter face on all day. Let's stop knobbing the Cowboys and talk about them like they are. Quitters, losers, and their owner doesn't know what he's doing either. And his son sits next to him, gasping for air because his father has sucked the air out of the room every year for the last 30 years. Thank God for me. Oh, God, thank God for me. You can't even argue it.
No, let me add this. The issue with this football team is the football character. I got that from another GM. He goes, they always draft for the big-time talent. Many of them lack proper football character. That means always doing the right thing, playing where you're supposed to be playing, lined up where you're supposed to be lined up. This is a continuing problem year after year after year. They have to draft better character players, and this is why they'll never win anything the way that they do things. And they need better discipline, and that could be coming here with Bill Belichick or somebody else. But, man, what an absolute disaster. Just an inferno of negativity with Cowboys and their fans, by the way, fighting in the stands. There's so many videos out there with Cowboy fans fighting with each other in AT&T.
What a shame.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you see the videos where they showed him running into the stadium for the game, the start of the game, and then they reversed it in high speed of them all running backwards out to their cars? That was epic. Now let's talk about something that matters. The changing of the guard in the NFL is after 30 years of failure and 9 playoff losses, the Lions finally won a game, and now the biggest losers in the NFL are the Miami Dolphins. They haven't won a playoff game in 24 years, and now the Lions have finally gotten that off their back.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it was close. What I loved about that game last night was no turnovers. The Rams have to look at themselves, their red zone woes. That was a problem, but they moved the ball extremely well. Stafford with a busted finger, busted up, bloodied, did a phenomenal job. The one concern for the Lions, and by the way, they will play at home Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, either against the Buccaneers or the Eagles. But the bottom line is they've got to play better defense on the back end. They're very lucky they escaped with that game, but give them credit. That was an awesome, emotional game. Dan Campbell, for all those people who laughed at Campbell in that opening press conference 4 years ago about bite kneecaps and all that stuff, and he memes and people making fun of him. Phenomenal job he's done. Absolutely phenomenal job. He got the last laugh. That he's an awesome head coach. Everybody buys in. He makes some tough decisions. He had to fire a couple coaches over the years on his staff. But this guy knows what he's doing, and they buy in. What a football team. What a story Jared Goff has been. My only concern would be if Ben Johnson gets a head coaching job and he'll have his pick of the litter. That's going to be a challenge to replace him. Could be Mark Brunell as their quarterback coach. I'm told Mark doesn't want to call the plays, but bottom line is they're terrifically coached football team. What a great story. It's been over 30 years for them. They're going to host another home game, which is interesting. Usually the third seed doesn't get to host 2 home games, but they're going to. And against either team, the Bucs or the Eagles, a game that's very, very beatable for them.
Yeah, great call by you. Well put. Let me throw one more thing on that fire log. I thought Goff outplayed Stafford, but I thought Stafford's 2 no-look passes in that game. I said watching the game, I went, those were actually better than Mahomes' no-looks. He had 2 no-look passes that were so awesome. I think even the announcer said something about that was like a LeBron no-look. Like, it was really beautiful no-look passes by Stafford. I thought Stafford was a class act all night, even in losing, going up to all those lines and congratulating him. He already has that big ring, so he don't care. All right, Bills, Steelers, Highmark, Below, Blizzard, 4:30 kick. Steelers getting double digits. The total has skyrocketed to 39. And you are giving my Steelers no chance whatsoever.
That's not true. That's actually not true, because when we busted that cap on Friday, I said the number, if it's a 10, I like them to cover it. I'm 2-2 and picking games in the playoffs. So I did say that. Now, here's the thing. The weather's cleared up. It has gone up. The total in 24 hours is going up 4.5. Okay, it's now up to 39. Because you've got clear skies, and this is what I was saying off the air to you. Teams that throw the football, if there's very little wind, it's going to be under 10 miles an hour. They don't care how cold it is. Andy Reid talked about that. Mahomes was coming out throwing in that game over the weekend, so he didn't care about the Dolphins. I mean, yeah, they bogged down in the red zone, but they still scored 26 points. They moved the football. They came out throwing. Josh Allen and the Bills are going to throw the football, and they'll mix James Cook into the run. If your Steelers are going to hang in it, it's strictly going to be how they run the football. And, oh, by the way, Rasul Douglas is one of their starting outside corners for the Bills. He's out. With his injury, he was a game-time decision, so that's a big deal. That'll help the Steelers. Because the one thing the Steelers do when they throw vertically to George Pickens or Deontay Johnson over the middle, running after the catch. And let's get Pat Frymuth involved. The Steelers have the firepower to do it, but they're not a heavy passing team. They're going to run the football. This is going to be a fun game today. I think the Steelers will do a little bit better than people think.
Oh, God, the stress I'm under. I got my terrible towel here. for you, Caplan. Where's your cutout? Where's your Randall Cunningham cutout? Where's your Eagle cutout? Eagles and Bucks tonight at Raymond James. What's the lowdown going into the game in the Gulf Coast? Is it going to be raining all night? Is everybody ready to go?
Rain looks like it's going to be off and on. Jalen Hurts, I'm told he practiced well on Friday. He's got that dislocated right middle finger. He's going to be good to go. But A.J. Brown will not play with that right knee injury. That's a big deal. He's the guy that when the Bucks play man coverage or they blitz, the Eagles are going to want to get it to him, but he is out. Quez Watkins will fill in for him, along with probably Julio Jones. Those are the 2 guys to take a look at. But that's a big injury. But the one thing the Eagles can do, get it to Dallas Goedert. The Bucks, the worst cover team against tight ends. They're terrible against tight ends the second half of the season. But I still don't understand why the Eagles are a favorite here. Based on the way that they've been playing awful football lately, there's absolutely no reason they should be a favorite. In fact, my personal line would have been the Bucks -2. The Eagles are still a 3-point favorite on the road. I know they crushed the Bucks back in week 3. That might as well have been another season because the Eagles have played poorly in the second half.
I could have sworn, going back to the other game, which is the only one that matters, I could have sworn Carver High told me earlier today that my favorite rapper, Tupac Shakur, will be playing for the Bills today. Is that true?
What is this?
He didn't get the joke. Did you see that, Carver High? He didn't. The Khalil Shakir. He didn't get the Tupac Shakur. He didn't get it, Adam. That's what that green tea does to you. You don't get jokes when I throw them right at you.
By the way, Shakir is a good player, but Gabe Davis is actually a really good run blocking receiver, and he's actually very important to that. He's out with his PCL injury, so that does concern me a little bit. But that's a big 10-point number to give the Steelers here. They've been playing good, efficient football. They could stay within 10. They definitely can.
Here's my prediction for the game. You won't believe this, but I'm really going out on a prop bet here. Nick Herbig to have 11 sacks in the game, filling in for TJ.
Wisconsin. Fire, man. You watch.
Enjoy the games tonight, Adam. Great job, buddy.
Later.
Quarter quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
San Francisco minus 120 to win the NFC Championship. It's the Cowboys with the second best number. The Eagles at 7-1.
What the hell's the difference between the 6 and the 7 seed? I need my guys healthy here to make a playoff push. They took the bye week and still won the football game. You want to talk about two franchises going in the wrong direction? The Eagles. Ridiculous what they did this week.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And I tell you what, there's 1,000,001 coaching vacancies right now. Brady Cannon is a candidate for the Vegas Raider job. Like there's so many jobs available right now. NFL teams are coming to the grid for our talent. So there's that many head coaching spots available right now. I'm going to submit my resume.
Sports Rage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Carver, I got to ask you, because I was talking about Stafford's no-look passes. Like, he had the whole head going the other way. And not only were they no-looks, they were slinging underhanded, like, wrap around the defender. Didn't even see it coming, like, right around a guy, like, with like, a little Jimmy spin. He had it all going, flick of the wrist, like AC/DC. I thought his no-looks, and I thought his on-point game with Puka shells was sickening. I have never seen a quarterback that hot all night long lose a game. Like, I can't believe they lost the way he was hooking up with Puka.
Yeah, I thought Stafford played great. Puka was great. We hit him, by the way. Of course, we had him as one of the tutties on Friday for the weekend that came through. Our boy Puka shells getting us to the window. So
and they covered.
And they covered, which was, I thought they played really well, Scotty. I thought this one fell on McVay a little bit. I thought that the play calling when they got in the red zone wasn't great.
It was weak.
I think they didn't go to, Williams was their guy inside the red zone all year. The guy had 1 billion touchdowns this year. And I know he was a little banged up in the game and he was in and out, but they didn't use Williams a lot in the red zone, and they couldn't find Kupp at all. Kupp had a brutal night.
I think he broke his hand. His hand looked enormous.
They put a big cast on his hand. So, but great game. I was happy for the Lions. I was happy that I covered the 3 with the Rams. So that worked out well for me.
The one time they were in the red zone, the first time they got down there and they got 3. like 3 in a row to the left side. I mean, the first 2 times it was so ugly. Why would you go back a third time to the left side? Like
Change it up.
they cut off to the left. I mean, I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And I thought where he kicked the field goal to make it a 1-point game. Now, I'm glad he did because we got the cover. But with that amount of time left and where they were on the field, probably should have went for it. Glad that he kicked it, but I probably should have went for it there.
I cannot even fathom. When I was at halftime, I was counting money with my tongue on that over. I cannot believe it sat at 47.
That was sick. That was sick that game didn't go over, especially after the way they went up and down the field in the first half.
I lost a dime on that.